Jordan, what's the most interesting thing you've seen recently?
Recently? I have
Mm-hmm.
no idea.
Think.
I'm.
Think.
Oh, maybe that there's 6 degrees of separation from any normal person to any other person.
Oh yeah, like
So,
that thing that like. There's this dude on Instagram I follow who like does like this shit where he's like taking a bunch of pictures with like celebrities, and he'll like people will comment like him and then like Harriet Tubman, and he'll find like 6 different pictures of like different people with different people, and he'll link themselves to like these people. Yeah, isn't that crazy, Clint? You're probably 6 people away from knowing somebody like George Washington.
Damn, that's
Whoa.
pretty crazy.
that the average is actually 4, as per like Facebook. They did a study, and the average person is only 4 people away from another person. You're 6
Ooh.
degrees away.
Damn.
So if you want to meet anyone, you just gotta know 4 people.
Yeah,
Anybody?
just gotta. Yeah, it's kind of like that. Me and you have talked about it before because we know someone who knows someone who knows someone, and we're like, we just need to keep knowing those people.
exactly. Yeah, go on
just
that
know
line.
those 4 people, and we're
Exactly.
set up. You
Yeah,
know?
dude.
That's usually how it works, I would guess. I mean, that's probably how you get like the most attention that quickly is
Yeah.
by just going in a line of people that you know each other.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, you don't even have to know they know each other. You just coincidentally end up getting in line with all that.
Yeah. I bet there's somebody we know who knows somebody crazy.
Probably.
I went to elementary school with this girl. Her cousin was Carrie Underwood,
Oh, really?
and I was like, "Damn, I'm like one person away from knowing Carrie Underwood."
Yeah, see, it's like that.
Shit's crazy. Yeah. Who are you one person away from knowing, Jordan?
Well, my friend, I think we have like our great uncle had mob ties, which
Whoa! How'd you find that out?
Zach, obviously.
Damn, mob ties. That's crazy. Did they go any more in depth?
No, but I think it was on Nana's side. I probably have the message, but I don't know how.
That's crazy.
The mob, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, Clint, do you have fucking mob ties? I'll get you hit right now, bro.
Probably got Italian mafia.
That's like the least scary mob.
Sure,
That's a great thing to say.
sure.
If you're the Italian mafia listening to
Shut
this,
up.
fuck you. Do something about it.
That's my family.
Do something about it. Clint, are you Italian? Like for
Yeah,
sure?
yeah.
Like
Part.
Where
It's
where
not-
at?
I'm not actually sure. I want to do the full genealogy.
Yeah,
thing.
Jordan did that
Yeah.
with his DNA and
My
shit.
my parents did it, and I mean, I guess like just inherently we have both of theirs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So we just kind of figured out what that was. But I want to do my own, just in case there's some random shit thrown in
Yeah,
there,
you
you
never
know,
know,
because that
yeah.
happens, I guess.
Yeah.
Or maybe my dad's not my dad, and they were just lying to me.
That'd be so sick
That
if your
would
life
be.
was all fucked up like
Yeah.
that.
It would be crazy.
That'd be so dope.
It's a complete lie.
Yeah.
I've speculated about it since being
Really?
a young child.
What
Yeah,
was your
'cause
first moment like thinking like, damn?
I think it was 6th grade.
Okay.
Maybe around that area
Yeah.
of my age, because I looked a lot different than both my sisters,
Okay.
and I mean my parents are older, so I didn't
Yeah.
look anything like them, but I didn't take that into account at all. So it was just like I might be adopted, and people like even you've been witness to this. People call me Mexican all the time for some reason, because
Yeah.
I get really tan or something.
Usually
So-
I hear like dirty Colombian, but yeah.
Shut up. But either way, usually I would go up to my parents and be like, I think I'm an adopted Mexican.
What
And
would they say?
they were like, yeah, you're probably right. I was like, cool,
See, they're trying to reverse psychology you.
maybe. Or maybe they were just tired of holding up that lie. And once I came with them with the truth, they were like, yeah, we can't hold this lie up anymore. He's right.
Yeah.
But who knows?
What would you do? Would you start like doing like Mexican shit?
No.
Would you like start celebrating like Cinco de Mayo?
Yeah, I'd probably
you?
start. I'd probably start
Any reason to
celebrating
start
some
drinking,
Mexican-
right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, they have so much fun down there, man.
Yeah. On account of the fact that like sometimes they have the opposite of so much fun.
Well, yes. So you have to have.
What
all
if
that.
you had cartel ties? Like, what if you found out your dad, like your parents saved you? You were Pablo Escobar's son.
I could live with that. I'd try to get back in. I'd be like, "How'd you guys get out? Because I want to get back in."
Would you like talk to your parents about taking the name Clint Escobar?
No, that's too obvious.
Escobar's kind of been ruined by vapes. Because now when you hear Escobar, you just think of Escobars. And I always think of Rainbow Escobars, so it'd be pretty stupid if you did that.
I didn't even really think of that. But
I have a great imagination, you don't, so.
I guess.
Jordan.
Also, speaking of family, as you can see, I have no alcohol in front of me. Mom, I am not drinking.
Jordan took
Yes, we made sure he didn't.
Jordan
made
took
sure he
47 hits of acid before we started this episode.
Stop it.
47.
Gonna get us in trouble.
I want all of the people who Jordan applies to college for to hear this.
Yeah, and it's all true.
It's all true.
It's all true.
It's all true.
For sure.
It's all true.
No, she knows it's not. But it's okay.
And
Jordan. Dream college go. Anyone in the world.
I don't know. I'll probably just go to University of Madison, Wisconsin, because I don't know. Dream colleges are a bit whack. I don't like the Ivy Leagues or anything.
Why not?
It's all just too overdone.
Mhm.
I feel.
You would never go to like Europe or anything for college.
Absolutely.
No.
No, you're not like a big Oxford guy.
No.
No.
Okay. I'm not even a big college guy, so.
You want
I
kind of like the
understand it.
more like chill college experience.
Well, university, it doesn't really matter where you go as long as it's accredited.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can, as long as you get, like, at least, like, experience and internships during that, it doesn't really matter as far as I'm aware of. But
Yeah, that makes sense. As long as you're getting like the right knowledge,
yeah.
right like certifications and all that.
Because where a lot of college people coming out of college people struggle is probably just that experience factor where they get out and there's no entry level jobs, so you
Yeah.
really need
It's all like mid level.
it's more important to have just internships and get those
Mhm.
Yeah.
relevant years of actual
With like good
experience.
companies and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but that's why it's important like to go to an actual college town a lot of
Yeah.
the times, because places like here aren't gonna have a lot of these things. I think the closest we have is probably in Missoula, from what I remember, for Biomed.
Biomed, and that's what you're getting into, right?
Yep.
Yeah. How long of a degree is that?
Most people do a master's degree.
And that's 6 years, right?
Yep.
But when you get in, won't you already have like a year and a half of college credits?
Yeah, a year to a year and a half,
Yeah.
depending on how many they take.
Mm-hmm.
What made you choose the bio degree?
I've always had like a really big interest in just like robotic arms and
Oh, okay.
robotic legs and stuff and
Cool stuff like
prosthetics.
that.
Yeah.
Nice.
What like piqued your interest in that?
It was actually a video game character.
Yeah, I was
believe
just
it
about
or
to say, I
not.
would bet it's a video game.
What video game
Yeah.
character?
It was a character named Victor, and he's basically like, he's a whole cyborg,
Mm-hmm.
and what he'll do is like he'll help people with like that, and he also
Yeah.
has these things where like he can turn off your fear or something. like
That's
that.
crazy.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
That's sick. What game's that from?
League.
League.
But
Oh, okay.
never good to admit that I played that, but might as well.
I mean, it's a popular ass game.
Oh, yeah.
Super popular.
Millions of people still play it. So
Oh, yeah. It's been going for. I wonder how long League's been a thing.
It's
A
just
while.
sad. 15 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's crazy, and it hasn't changed much. Still
Yeah.
kind of like the same, like kind of like
Concept.
Yeah. it's that one map. Have you ever played League, Clint?
no, I haven't.
I used to play League on Jordan's account that he plays with now, dude. And like fucking, it's just like, it kind of like, I don't know. I guess the reason why I got out of it is just because like, I don't know, like it kind of got repetitive to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I don't play it a lot anymore because I'm obviously focused on a lot
Yeah.
more
College stuff, all that.
nowadays.
Yeah.
Overall, just not really on that scene anymore.
Yeah.
What else do you play mainly besides League?
I do still play like Minecraft with some friends, and
How's Minecraft looking nowadays?
pretty much the same as
Pretty
it's
much
always
the
been.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know they added like a good amount of shit recently.
Yep. Yep. And they'll keep adding and be probably relevant for at least a good while.
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
for sure.
It's the
I mean,
most sold game,
yeah.
like copies wise.
I think other than like there's a phone game that beats it by a little bit. I don't remember
I
what
bet
game it
it's-
is.
I bet it's some shit like
It's like
fucking Candy Crush.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
like Candy Crush or something like that.
Yeah,
but
fucking Candy Crush. I was looking at like Instagram recently, and I like came across this post of like this like child psychologist would like write down like things that their kids said about their parents, and there's this one kid that said like, I wish my mom loved me as much as she loved Candy Crush. I was like, damn,
That's crazy.
that's crazy.
That'd be rough to hear.
Right?
Yeah, dude, for real.
Fuck.
My mom used to be obsessed with that game, FRiED, where you like connect the colorful pipes. I don't know if you guys have ever played. It's a pretty popular game
Yeah.
where you like just connect the red and blue pipes, but they get like you can go like 100 by 100 and try to connect.
I know
those.
what you're talking about.
My mom
yeah.
was absolutely obsessed with that game. I remember that.
Was she a
very
demon
vividly.
at it though?
Oh yeah.
Then it
I mean,
paid off.
She like beat every level up to. I mean, I don't know how high it even went,
Yeah.
but pretty far up there.
Makes sense.
But like when your kid is telling you to get off.
Literally, it's like,
yo,
Mom, I need some dinner. Can you please stop playing Candy Crush?
Mom. You spent all of our food budget for the month on Candy Crush coins.
Come on,
What
Bob.
the fuck? I'm trying to eat,
The
Mom.
husband, the mom and dad are getting into fights constantly over Candy Crush because you're just spending all the money on Candy Crush.
God, dude. I'd hate to have like I'd hate to be like a little kid nowadays.
Oh, me too.
That shit would suck.
I
That shit
mean,
would suck ass.
kind of depends if your parents are.
Good parents. Oh, for sure.
Yeah, well, even then, like it would suck if your parents just aren't paying any attention to you, like because you can give
So
your
many
kids
parents.
you can give your kids like tablets and things, but then also just take them away at a certain point.
I dated this one girl who's like adoptive parents because she was adopted. Not even adopted. Her parents were like shitty parents. And they had like a set of actual kids too. And one of them was like, this was 3 years ago. At the time, this kid was probably like 10 or 11. And he was like straight up like the definition of an iPad kid.
Oh
like,
yeah,
he would either sit there and play Overwatch for hours on end, and then his mom would like tell him to go outside. He'd throw a fucking
yeah, dude.
temper tantrum. His mom would be like, "Oh no, it's okay. Here you go."
Yeah,
Kid was on Adderall, like a bunch of other meds, like fucking like antidepressants and shit. And it's like, dude, this kid's like 11, and you're letting
dude.
pills and technology raise him. That's why he fucking tweaks out at you.
my ex had a little brother like that. That like just every time I went over to the house, even a few times he came over to my parents' house, and all he wanted to do was play the Wii, play the DS, play the Nintendo Switch, play the Xbox, play
Little
the
fucking
iPad.
addict, dude.
Like for real, it's crazy, but you can't really blame them. They're kids. I mean, they're products of their surroundings, right? So like if all they see all day is their siblings and their parents playing on these phones and tablets, that's all they want to do.
For sure, dude.
And then if you let them do it all the time, I mean, who doesn't want to fucking just play video games all day every day, right?
yeah.
That's why it's like a thing you kind of gotta mediate when you're playing. I'm like, oh, I've been on for 4 hours. I should probably chill.
out, yeah.
Yeah.
Jordan, do you remember that? You might not remember this. You might have been too young. But do you remember when we would go over to Papa's and like play games on his computer?
Yeah.
Remember that 1-2 player fucking like where like I would have like WASD and you'd have like the arrows and it was like that little like pixel game where you'd like shoot each other and shit.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I've been trying to find that game recently. It's fucking impossible to find.
I might be able to help you with that after this.
Bad, dude.
But I'll go back to like the previous point. I think you guys are a lot more like, I think you guys are a lot farther from this new generation than I'd be.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because I've been on video games for like I was even like taught my
Yeah.
alphabet on a computer.
Yeah, dude, I remember when you were
that's
young.
crazy.
Yeah,
Like,
dude.
Even when me and Michael were in school, computers weren't even really implemented into
Like third, fourth
classrooms
grade.
till like 4th grade or something like
Yeah.
that.
Well, it wasn't even in school. Like I just didn't learn that well. I was
Oh,
like
yeah.
I had speech problems and all of this, so I learned on a computer.
Oh.
Yeah, I
And
remember our grandpa came home with like this computer game one day, and it like taught Jordan like how to become like comfortable talking. And then one day he just started like talking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I mean,
no, dude, it was crazy.
see, man, they're
So,
fucking
like,
useful.
There's
Like,
good
those-
points to it, but then
yeah.
there's also like bad points to it.
Well,
you
I
know
mean,
what
yeah, obviously, but
Yeah.
that's with everything, right?
For
Everything
sure.
has a good side and a bad side.
yeah,
Like I
so,
said, you just got to mediate it. But
I'd definitely be able to live in the current generation.
yeah.
Like growing up now, I'd be able to. But
See,
I
and,
guess
and
it's struggle.
like, see, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's definitely useful because it can teach people with learning, like just people that can't learn in a classroom. Because I mean, I was that way, but I mean, I never was like diagnosed or anything like. I never went to a doctor for anything like that. I just can't focus when I'm sitting in a classroom and watching. I always just learn by watching YouTube videos or watching just like someone explain it to me in a better way than a teacher ever could. No offense to teachers. There are great teachers out there, but
Most of them suck.
that is true.
Most of them suck.
But that's because they get paid so very poorly. So
yeah.
that's kind of a product of their own environment. if you
I'd be a
must.
teacher if it paid at least $100K.
See,
For sure.
a lot of people would be teachers if it paid a lot more. Because I know a few people just from like our class of graduating that wanted to be teachers
that didn't.
and then didn't because they were like, it doesn't pay enough.
How many teachers nowadays? In terms of like
Mm.
young people trying to become teachers, not too many.
Well, I mean, and they know why. They just won't change it. But
Pretty sure like the average salary for a teacher here is like $40K.
yeah,
Which
it's
isn't shit.
absurd.
Yeah.
But I honestly forgot. We got off on a little tangent. But
It's because you're stupid.
see. But just some people learn better different ways, and I'm glad that your generation of kids and even some of the adults in your generation are realizing that hey, some of these kids can't learn in classrooms as easily as some of these other kids, so we should help them a little more at home than you would normally have to. Because like my dad would help me with homework every night. My mom never would because she, no offense to my mom, but she was not good at homework that much. She was good at a few of the things for sure, but I mainly needed help with like math and science. And my dad is a scientist and he's very good at math, so I was like, I'm going to you for this. And a lot of the times he would get frustrated at the math they were trying to teach me because it didn't make any sense. And I was like, so how am I supposed to learn this?
It's
Yeah.
crazy how like, cause like I kind of had like the same thing. Like my mom or like my grandma would try to help me with homework, and like fucking, they would just be like, doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
You
it's
know,
like,
it just
what-
like goes to show you like how much more advanced.
Remember
it has
when the-
become in like the past 50 years.
I don't know if they did this. I'm pretty sure they did this at every school when they implemented that new math. What it's called, like core math or what's it called? The paper math books. That
Go math.
Go something like
Go
that.
math.
Yeah. There was some crazy shit where they implemented all that like just in the middle of as kids we all had these hard old copies of
Mhm.
math books, and then one year they just
Go math.
changed. It was all this go math
It was
and
like workbooks and
and
shit.
I watched a comedian describe this perfectly. It was like he said their point for go math is you use one page for every single problem of math. And that's exactly how it was, because you would get the problem and you would just break it down as far as it could be broken down. And it's like, why do you need to do that? I don't think since I've been out of high school I've ever broken down a math problem once.
Yeah.
Even if I need to solve it without a calculator.
Okay, really quick. Sally is at the store.
Shut up.
No, we're doing this. We're doing this. Sally is at the store.
What store? It
Costco.
matters. Costco. Okay.
She's buying in bulk.
Buying in bulk.
'Kay.
Okay.
Sally is at the store, Jordan. You can participate too. She needs to buy watermelons.
Okay.
She's having a watermelon extravaganza. In fact, her wedding is this weekend, and it is watermelon themed, right? She is buying 656 watermelons.
That's quite a lot of watermelons.
Hold on. She is buying 656
Even he needs the calculator.
watermelons. Okay. And they are priced at $1 a piece. But for every 100 you buy, you get $10 off.
Damn.
How much does he spend on the watermelons?
Guess what? I've thought about this thoroughly.
$5.96.
Wait, that might be correct. I don't know. None, because she doesn't have a Costco membership card, so she can't even get in.
Fuck!
Damn.
Trick questions. I'm pro at them.
You got it. You got it. You got it.
But I'll go back to that. I think that a lot of it can be blamed on just the system not really catching up with all of the advancements in technology. Because if you look, it's advancing really fast, and I don't think it's really keeping up.
Yeah. I don't hear it. Go ahead. Sorry.
It's the like need for like memorizing all of that and doing this and that is becoming really obsolete.
Because computers can do it all for you.
Yeah, it's becoming really obsolete. So like how my math teacher would describe it is like we don't give them calculators up to a certain point, and then we just give them calculators and teach them how to use them because that's what you're going to be using.
Yeah, exactly. And it's a weird system to me because the school system hasn't changed. I mean, their curriculum's changed year after year and stuff, but the same system of producing kids for the workforce hasn't changed since school started way back in the day. It's always been you sit kids in the classroom, teacher in front talks to them for an hour, however long, about the one subject, and then they move on to a different class and get taught another subject for 1 hour. And it's been that way for 100 years, 200 years, however, I don't know how long school's been implemented, like in America at least. But
Clint, I have a question.
No.
What would you do to change the current school system?
I don't know. I would implement, I guess I would just implement more like life-based stuff than like, I mean, that's kind of a weird statement, I guess, but like a lot of
taxes, stuff like that.
Yeah. Like classes where you can learn business, not necessarily in I think elementary kind of has a good system because they teach younger kids just how they need to learn.
But middle school and high
But
school.
middle school and high school should really let kids kind of evolve into what they would want to do, like learn how to do taxes, learn how to do checks, even wait till high school to do that. But even implementing more music and art stuff into schools would help a lot of people out. Implementing, especially nowadays, more computer and media classes because a lot of people nowadays just want to get into that because that's the way the world is going.
Marketing and all that.
Marketing, like different classes that they don't teach you until college, and then you have to pay $20,000 to take those classes. So it's like, why would I take that?
Yeah.
I'd have to pay all this absurd amount of money for it.
I think a big problem, like we have those classes at Butte High, a lot of them at least. We have money management and this and that, but a big part of it is the core classes are almost too strenuous to be doing that. So I think what you need to do is kind of more oriented, like how college has it, where you need those extracurriculars.
Yeah,
in there,
exactly.
and maybe cut back on a lot of the more like core classes because at the moment you need like 4 years of English, 3 years of math. That doesn't leave room.
Exactly. Like, so instead of having 4 years of science, you'd have 2 years of science, and then you can fill the other 2 years with something else that
pertains to actually what you want to do, at least
exactly.
for the meantime,
Like,
with how you want to carry on.
I see
your
what
life.
you're saying.
Yeah.
And I agree with you. I took 3 different classes up at Butte High that were about like just money management and just business stuff and art stuff like that. And they're all probably some of my favorite classes up there because they're organized in a different way than those core classes are, because those classes, at least as of right now, don't really have a set curriculum that they have to follow. You know, they can kind of just do whatever as long as they're still teaching you.
It's kind of like based on the students a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Because I remember I had Mr. Maloney, shout out Mr. Maloney, for one of my business classes. It was like learning one of the Microsoft apps. I can't remember which one.
It was AutoCAD,
No. Oh, yeah. I learned AutoCAD,
the architecture one.
the architecture one, and I also learned
Wood shop.
Oh no, I never took wood shop. I did the portfolio one. I don't know what app that is. One of the Microsoft apps.
Yeah.
It's just super weird.
Excel.
Excel, yes. But he would teach me that, and he taught it in a super like interesting way to where it was like, oh, I can actually understand this. But I mean, that was years ago. So I mean, now if I go into it, I'm like, I don't even remember what to do. So, but those classes are always still a lot more not more useful. I would say they're just nicer because you don't have to strain yourself on. Fuck, I have to take this for 4 more years, and I can't even get it at this first mark. Yeah. This is gonna suck.
Geometry fucked me up.
Geometry's fun.
Geometry sent my dumb ass to fucking summer school. Fucking hate geometry.
See, but like I was also the opposite, where I had to take a full year of art, and that was probably my worst class. Like,
really?
Yeah, by a long shot.
Why?
Too. I can't do art. I'm not an art person.
Yeah.
I've been math oriented for like a long time, and you just can't force. I've heard this quote. It kind of does it. You can't compel a man to participate in recreation.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
I don't think you should have them necessarily required, but I think you should maybe cut back on requirements a lot.
And
for anything,
have more extracurriculars available,
especially once you're in like those like upper classes of high school, like your junior and senior year. You know?
Yeah, because at the end of the day, if they don't care, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
Like they're not gonna listen because
exactly.
It's like trying to get a drug addict to quit.
Yeah,
you know, they're not gonna quit unless
if they don't want to quit. They're not gonna quit. You know, yeah. And if you don't want to go do your math, you're not gonna go do your math. Who cares?
Yeah, and how it is right now is like a lot of people who just don't care about school, don't care about it. Like they'll take 4 classes senior year, 5 classes junior year, and just skate through it with C's and never learn anything in the class.
That's what I did, brother.
Exactly. Prime example.
Prime example
right
there. Yeah.
Right here. Yep.
So it's like it's almost detrimental to the learning where you put them in these classes where you know they're not going to learn anything.
Yeah.
And then they don't care about the class, and then the teacher has to just struggle with.
Yeah, and it makes it harder for the teacher because none of their students are paying any attention. So why would the teacher start caring if none of his students care, or her?
And that's why, like, I've been blessed with really good teachers because at the like higher level that I am, students like are actually caring about their school.
Yeah,
and that's probably where you want to be as a teacher. It's like that higher level because
with the kids that really want to actually learn about what they're learning. Yeah,
because at the end of the day, it's too many requirements for people who don't want to do it, and then that kind of takes a toll on the teachers, and they just leave.
Yep, and then they just don't want to teach anymore because they're like, well, none of these kids want to learn, so what's the point in teaching? Yada yada. Yeah.
What are you most looking forward to when it comes to college? Like the experience, being away from home, on your own, thousands of miles away.
Being able to learn different things.
Furthering your education.
Maybe just like having a lot of independence.
I get that, yeah.
But I think a lot of it is to like learning about my major because I am definitely passionate about it.
Yeah.
And that's the thing with college is you have to be passionate about it or you're just wasting money.
A lot of money too.
Especially now.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of kids get held up because they think they're just supposed to go to college.
Yeah, and they just do it just to do it.
Well, and then some kids end up in college for 5 years before they even decide what they want to do.
Well, I know this kid, I'm not going to... Okay, I know this kid who... he went to tech for a couple of years and then like 2 or 3 years, and then he was like, nah, fuck this, I'm gonna switch my majors. Switched over to Missoula, went there for like 2 or 3 years, and then he just switched back like a year ago back to tech. So he's like fucking going on to like his 7th year of college, and he still has like 1 or 2 left. And it's like, damn, bro.
Yeah.
And not to
so
throw any shade on my sister or anything, but she basically did the same thing. When, like, right after high school, she went to tech. I don't know exactly how long all these years were, but like maybe 4 years up at tech. She decided to switch her major. I don't even know how old she is at this point now. 29, 28, something like that. But she like, I'm gonna just skip to the point. She just graduated college last year, maybe like 2 years,
Damn.
maybe 2 years ago.
Damn.
So she spent from 18, maybe 19 years old till about 27, 28, just trying to figure out what she wanted to do. And then when she did, it only took her like a year to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she just spent all that time at college, even if it was online or actually going to college. But that's a fuckload of money you just spent on college.
Mhm. For low key, no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
No reason.
I think there's a lot we like take away from that. Well, the average person changes their major. I think it was 3 times. I'm not too sure about that, but they changed their careers 7 times. In their
Jesus.
lifetimes. But I think a big problem with college is starting in high school because they're not taking those extracurriculars, not figuring out what they want to do. There needs to be a little bit more urgency in that and more freedom. But also, the biggest problem I know with tech is that people are too pushy to go to tech. Like, the older people are too pushy to push people to go to tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go to your hometown. Go to
I
tech.
mean, if you're at Butte High, everybody at Butte High is like,
Go to tech.
Go to tech. They even have booths up there every week, like telling with people of tech up there, going, "Hey, you should go to tech. Apply for a scholarship. Do this, do that. Go to tech."
Which I
and
get.
it's like, and I get it. You want to represent your hometown. You want to make your hometown some money, but if you're stuck to tech, tech is mainly an engineering school, right?
Yep.
And not a lot of people want to be engineers. I know that for a fact.
Oh fuck, dude.
You have
so
to-
many
you have to-
people are becoming engineers too.
Oh yeah, you have to be a really different type of person to be an engineer too, depending on the engineering. But even even then,
But yeah, I think what comes from that is like it's mainly an engineering and a medical school.
oh okay,
Yeah, nurses and all that go to tech.
So if you're not in one of those, it's not for you. And also, they really like to bolster the reputation of it. It's called Harvard on the Hill, but it shows none of the real same like national standings.
yeah.
Well, yeah, dude. I
close.
mean, you tell somebody you went to Harvard on a job application, that's gonna fucking.
And then you say, "Oh, I went to Montana Tech."
And it's like, what?
Like, where the fuck
That
is that?
podunk ass little
Yeah.
fucking school, you know?
And I got my wake up call on that this summer from a guy who is like versed in this, and he sent people to like these top schools and stuff. And he was a student like in college right now. And he told me that if I went to tech, I'd be in the 99th percentile. So I'd be wasting my time. So what he recommended I do is look at a lot higher schools. And that's what I did. And that's kind of how I went to, decided on college.
Yeah.
I'm obviously not fully decided. There's still a few options on table. But as of right now, like the national standings are like at least top 40 is what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When if I went to tech, I'd be maybe a top 200 school
Yeah, and
at
that's-
best.
That I mean, for a person like you could definitely afford, like not even afford. You could get into basically any school.
100% you could.
Like, I don't know you as well as Michael here does, but I know you're a smart individual. You're,
Well, I know
at-
you get letters from like, and I know a lot of people, like everybody gets letters, you know, because everybody fucking wants people to
everybody
pay
wants,
that application fee
everybody
and
wants
shit.
money from whoever.
But I know you get like letters from like John Hopkins and Harvard and this and that.
I don't think I could actually go to those schools. I'd have to do a lot more than I currently have because I didn't do a whole lot in my
First 2 years, yeah.
But a big thing about the letters is a big problem with colleges in general and why you should never look at acceptance rate. What these schools will do is they'll send letters to people they know they're not going to accept just to bolster their acceptance rate and get more applicants in.
So that their acceptance
Yes.
rates can be like more prestigious.
Yep.
Yep.
And a lot of it is like there's 40,000 people or whatever. I don't know the actual numbers. I'd have to check. But there's a very limited amount of spots in Harvard and these top schools. So to like think that you're probably going to be one of them is
Not the best thing to bet on.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like trying to bet on like if you're gonna get into pro sports. Like
Yeah.
there's only a limited amount of people that can get
Yeah.
into it every year. And
Not everybody's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, the chances of someone getting in
Even
is
if
pretty
they're
low.
qualified.
Even if they're the most qualified, like someone just might have more money than you.
Yeah.
You never know.
Know somebody a little bit better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or meet the diversity quota.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You might.
That's a
yeah.
big thing
That-
nowadays, I bet too, huh?
And that never happened back in the day. Like, you want to get a certain amount of these people here, a certain amount of these people here. You don't want to be.
You don't want to be the all-white college.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want to
know
be
what
the
I mean?
all-white straight male college. Like, that's kind of fucked.
Yep.
You don't want to be that. Not
Yeah.
these days.
It's not as big as a problem as a lot of people like
Make
tend
it
to
out.
make it.
Yeah.
But it definitely is one of the factors.
It's to the point where you can see it.
Exactly.
Yeah, I get that.
and
like-
it's good and bad for different reasons.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, because some people are more likely to get accepted who actually deserve it, and then some other people are more likely to get ignored based off of
Yeah.
that quota.
But even then, I mean, the diversity thing is like more people over the years have been moving into this country just to get into college.
Oh,
and
dude, think
stuff
about
like
it. Even
that,
at a
so-
school like Montana Tech, where like I've met like people from Saudi Arabia.
I've met-
people from Africa. I've
Yeah,
met
I've-
people from just the Middle East in
I've
general.
met a lot of Asians over
Yep,
here, and it's
mhm.
like, damn, that's cool that you came all the way over
And
here.
keep in
for
mind, guys,
college.
we're from like a fucking bum ass little town
yeah,
in a
podunk
bum ass
town.
little state.
When we were
in a
growing
bum-ass
up,
part
when
of
we
the
were
country.
growing up, it was all white kids.
I can count the amount of black kids that I know in this entire town on probably two hands.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
It's not a lot. We're working on it.
Yeah, it's
We're
getting
working
better.
on it,
It's getting
yeah.
better.
Yeah.
I'm meeting a lot more people that are from different places, and it's a lot. It's nice. Other than the Californians, they can go back home.
Except for you, Larry.
Except for you, Larry. Yeah, fact. Shout out Larry,
Larry's
our
dope.
stepdad. Shout out. He's dope. He's damn near a native Montanan. He has
I
a
mean,
little fucking
yeah.
part in Elk Park where he has like a little piece of land and, he has
I mean,
chickens. He
he's-
has all that
moved-
shit.
He,
You
he's,
could tell he's from California though.
but
You know what I mean?
I mean, he's been here a lot longer than all these other Californians, right? Like,
Yeah.
Larry's been here for like 30 years.
yeah. See, and
He was
a
here
lot of
before
these-
fucking that big boom
Yeah,
started.
yeah. That's what I was saying. It's like this big boom of people that are just moving here because of the.
The only way he
Yellowstone
was brought
show
here
and
is
stuff.
because his, I think, wife at the time got a job offer to. You remember the Bad Bath and Beyond we had in our mall
Yes.
before everything fucking closed down?
Yeah.
His girlfriend got a job offer, so he came up here with his girlfriend. Like she got offered to be the manager of the store, so we came up here, and that's how we got here. Pretty
Mm.
sure.
Interesting.
Yeah,
A lot of people have weird ways of getting stuck up here.
it's
I've
a weird
noticed.
state, man.
Uh-huh.
I remember when I was working at, I think it was Perkins or either Perkins or the Montana Club, just like a regular little restaurant here, like average type of steakhouse type of place. I was talking to this one guy. It was Perkins. Yeah, it was Perkins. I was hosting. And I was talking to this one guy. He was from like fucking like, he had an accent. He was from somewhere international. I was talking to him. And I was like, dude, what brought you to Butte? And he was like, well, Butte's just an interesting place from everything I've heard. And I was like, what? And he was like, he told me this one thing I'll never forget. He was like, I've always heard that if you ever want to disappear, go to Butte, Montana, the United States of
mean,
America.
That's
Nobody will ever
Yeah.
fucking find you.
that's probably one of the most accurate statements.
And I was
ever.
like, damn, dude, I mean, that makes sense. You know
Dude,
what I mean?
If I ever have to like go on the run, I'm going somewhere like in Montana.
Oh, for
Montana's
sure.
open as fuck.
Everybody minds their business
Yeah,
here.
dude.
You know what I mean?
Nobody gives a
like,
fuck here.
Everybody's just like, I got my own shit to deal with. I'm gonna go deal with it.
Because we were all raised with like fucking having to ignore all these random people
Exactly.
doing random shit all the time.
Exactly. Montana has always been like not necessarily like a tourist type of state, but you always expect to see people who aren't
Don't
from
live here, yeah.
especially in the summer and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Lots
know.
of people.
Butte is definitely a tourist town.
Oh yeah,
Mhm.
especially for uptown and stuff like that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Butte's Uptown is the largest protected historical district in the United States. I could be wrong about that, but I'm pretty
It's-
sure I saw something
mean,
like that.
I would bet that it's up there.
Oh yeah.
Because
it's
I
up and
mean,
up there.
yeah, a lot
Butte's
of places
also
don't care this much. about their
Technically,
sites.
theoretically speaking, the most alcoholic city in
Mhm.
the United States because Montana is the most like per capita people who buy alcohol and consume alcohol here. We're the highest,
Oh, I know.
and then per capita, Butte is on that list.
How come there's always a bug in the middle of our podcast?
There's
Like,
always a
that's so
fly
crazy.
in one of our episodes.
It's so crazy because like I'll be gaming like all day, I won't see a single bug. Second we turn on these lights and start a podcast, it starts flying around. There
Yep.
it is. On your mic. I think I got him.
Sorry, guys, if you're just listening, Clint just slapped my microphone to capture a bug.
Got him. Don't worry, we're safe now.
But Butte definitely does have an interesting history. I'll just give a little bit of it.
Yep.
So in the 1980s, this is how it became a tourist town. All of the big mines shut down.
Yeah.
Like that was the most of the jobs.
Mm-hmm.
And normally that'd mean we'd become like a ghost town and everyone leave, but we changed it kind of into that like tourist town, and there's been a lot of people who've like preserved that history. I know Fisk is one of them.
I love
Big
Fisk.
Shout out Mr. Fisk. We're going to try to get him as a guest, but continue.
Yeah, so at that point we became like this, we turned like what would be a ghost town into a tourist attraction. So it definitely does have a really interesting history, but it's not a great place to live.
No.
Definitely not. Butte, a place like Montana has a lot of meth. A lot of people who do drugs, right? And it's not just Butte. Butte may be like the low-key, let's be honest, epicenter of it all, but
I think you described Butte to me in like the perfect way a few weeks ago, where you were like, we're the shittiest big town in Montana.
Yep.
Or the shittiest little town, or however you said it. Because there's like,
we're
there's
just big enough to be considered a
Exact-
city.
like we're like,
And
we're,
out of all the
we're
places.
we're at the bottom of the list of Missoula, Helena, Kalispell, and we're at the very bottom
Yep.
of that list. And then there's all those ghost towns and little rinky-dink towns.
We're
that nobody
right in the
lives
middle
in.
of places like Dillon and fucking like
Anaconda.
Bannock and Anaconda
Yeah,
and all
yeah,
these
yeah.
like shitty, like genuinely shitty little places that would suck to live unless you're super old and just want your privacy. And then on the other side of that, you got like your big towns like Billings, Missoula, Bozeman, like the
And you-
touristy towns that people from California come to go ski and do this
Yeah,
and
yeah,
do that.
And even then, those like Billings isn't even that big.
It's only 100,000
Yeah.
people.
I thought, dude,
Which to people like, because we come from a town, like if you're watching this, you're not from here. Butte has a population of roughly around about 40,000.
yeah, I
people,
think it's like 45,000 people.
which is like just big enough for you to be able to drive around the town and be like, okay,
there's
I mean,
there's too many
technically-
people here.
technically this is a city, you know what I mean? But
Sure.
like any less people, we wouldn't be a city no more.
Mhm.
We'd be a town. You know, that's how I think of Butte.
Yeah,
Right between a city and a town. And we got the unique history and we got the old mining shit and we've been around for a while and we used to be on top and now we're at the bottom. Like Butte, Montana is like the stereotypical like fucking like old American town to me, where it once had something that's gone now, and now we solely rely on like fucking
Yeah.
people coming here and fucking being like, oh, look at that old building, look at that old building,
yeah.
look at that, look at that.
You know how many times I'm just driving around and I see like old people just taking pictures of the
Or
old
like the
buildings up
trolley.
here.
We got
Yeah,
this
the
trolley around
trolley.
that goes around town and does like little tours, and there's like ghost tours, and everybody's like, oh, that building over there is haunted.
You can get
It's haunted over there.
You can also get tours of like the old mines and stuff like
Mhm.
that. Yeah,
Or like the Cabbage Patch, that old like
Mhm.
prostitute place.
the brothel.
The brothel.
The only high school education that takes you to a brothel, non-active.
Facts. The only way you'll ever get to see prostitution at school is in Butte, Montana. So
Non-active prostitution. but
non-active
still
prostitution. But old-timey prostitution,
Mhm.
which some would argue probably more disgusting.
Definitely more.
Less
disgusting.
showers, less baths,
Didn't they have
less
a?
this,
Wasn't there a
less
tunnel?
that.
A tunnel system in Butte for like different ways to
Dude.
get to all the brothels and stuff like
There's
that.
like these little
Yeah.
tours you can do. I've always wanted to do one. Well,
Me
I've always
too.
wanted to break in there on my own and not tell anybody about it. But there's like a bunch of like during like Prohibition era, especially like when alcohol was legalized on a
illegal, yeah,
nationwide
yeah.
level. There was like so many like hidden parts like under Uptown Butte of like these little like shops where like you could go into the basement. There'd be like these like hallways to connect like all these places, like little like bars and this and that to like funnel alcohol during Prohibition.
Mhm.
And then like there's like these prostitute places and this and that.
That's like some Louisiana type stuff, you know?
Right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude.
It's pretty cool.
Butte is a unique little town.
Oh yeah.
You know, we got the biggest fucking acid pit pollution lake in the fucking world. No, it's not anymore.
I don't think it ever was. We like to bolster our
Oh,
what we
yeah.
have, but it's one of the biggest in
For
the
sure.
United States.
Woo.
Well, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest like open mining kind of like pollution center
There
until
was-
some diamond mine in South Africa opened, but I could be wrong on that.
I think there was one way to phrase it where we were number one,
Mhm.
and that's probably what they used. But there's been a lot above us.
You know what's bad when people come around to see how fucked up your town is.
Yeah,
But that's
literally.
like a part of your tourist dragon night. Look how fucked up it is here.
Look at that giant acid pit right there.
Look at that hole where birds die. That's cool, isn't it? Let's move on. That's a weird way to like fucking be like, hey, come to our town.
Yeah.
Look how shitty it is here.
I-
Admire the spectacle for $15
Yeah.
a person.
I love and hate this
Well,
town.
I mean, we did have like the first union, and I think the first union, something like
I'm
that.
pretty sure. I mean, that's why Butte's like such a democratic town. Is like Montana historically is like Republican, but Butte within that lies is like the only like blue part of it because of the fact that we had the union and this and that, and a lot of people here like when I was doing like political canvassing as a recent, like just going around talking to all the people about like fucking like, oh, why do you vote this way? Why do you vote that way? Like typically most people vote Democrat here because of the fact that like for a long time it was like historically Democrat because of the unions and the
Mhm.
mine and places like this and that, you know? It's just, it's very interesting. Butte is like, to me, in my opinion, Butte is the most unique city in Montana. And I'd argue like one of the most unique cities within the entire country, just based off of like its history, what it's culminated to become eventually now, you know, like everything about it. Like Butte is such a weird little place
Oh yeah.
in such a weird little state, you know, and nobody ever hears about it. You know, like I've seen a couple of YouTube videos. There's this one guy, Tom Scott, who makes kind of like this like educational type of content where he went to the Berkeley pit, the mine here, and he was talking to like this one guy whose job it is to shoot birds
Mhm.
off of like the fucking little Berkeley pit, like not shoot them, like shoot at them, but like shoot around them to like get them to like run away.
Yeah. Well,
So
'cause
they
it-
don't die in the
yeah.
acid pit, because there was a point here, like you guys both probably remember this, where like like 100 or something geese who were like chilling here during their migration fucking just died in the lake.
I think it was closer to 1,000.
Yeah, 1,000, dude. It's fucking wild, right?
That's
So now
crazy.
there's this one guy's job here, who it is to just fucking pop, pop, pop all the geese around the lake.
Yeah, I met him. He has like this huge gun. I have
Mhm.
photos of it and all that.
That's a cool job. Though.
Shit's crazy. I bet it gets pretty boring,
I bet, but
still, either way, pop, pop every once in a while. I'm
Right.
sure that keeps you going.
I mean, we do have like an amendment in the Constitution, basically.
What is it?
It's the 17th Amendment where the people can elect the senators and it's not the legislators anymore because of bribery by Clark.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Damn. And we got like a crazy little history, like
Mhm.
too, like that, like how William Clark's daughter was like, she owned an entire block in like New York City, and she like never fucking married or anything, and she inherited that whole fortune, which was a lot of money. Because you got to think, like, if you guys like listening don't know about Butte, like Butte at one point in time was producing almost entirely all of America's copper to get electricity into households and this and that. Like,
I think the realistic estimate was 1/3 of the copper during like that's when the lightning bulb
Yeah.
came in and they needed all the copper wires, so we kind of funded that.
see, which is crazy, you know what I mean? Like our whole motto is like richest hill on earth, which at one point I'm sure we were, if not probably close to it, you know what I mean? And like it's just crazy because like you had like this fucking like these three guys, what was his, William Clark,
Lewis.
no, John
John.
Daly. No, what was it?
was William Clark. I think it was William A. Clark. Is
Yeah, William A. Clark.
Marcus Daly.
Marcus Daly.
And I don't think there was really a third guy.
There was this one, I fucking like, it was some weird German type of name. It was like Eisen fucking something, or not Eisenhower, but like,
I don't think he's talked about as much.
no, not as
because-
much. But either way, there was William Clark and there was John Daly, not John Daly, what would you say?
Marcus Daly.
Marcus Daly. And they were like beefing, bro, like hard, dude. And then fucking like they both die, give their fucking inheritance to whoever the fuck. And this William Clark guy's daughter bought a whole block in New York, didn't marry, just held onto the fortune, just did her shit. And like some lady like took care of her up until her death, dude, and she just died like I think somewhere in between like 2009 and 2013 or something. And it was crazy because like she was like the last like fucking person who like kind of experienced like the boom of Butte, Montana.
Yeah.
You know, like who got to like reap the benefits of what this town once was.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's crazy because she just died lonely some block in New York, and nobody ever knew who she was probably. Because nobody knows about Butte, Montana. Like for some place that like was once like on top of like what America was creating as a superpower. You know, like you never hear about it nowadays. Like Butte is like the epitome of a ghost town in terms of the fact that like not just people used to live here, but like a kind of like a legacy used to live here. You know, like a reputation.
It's not a ghost town. It's a legend town.
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
Like we are like living in the remnants of a legendary place that used to be the epitome of like what America is becoming. You know, and it's just weird because now like when you think of Butte, Montana, you think of like meth heads, you think of this, you think of that, like you think of fucking just like not the best things probably. You know, like to a certain degree, it's probably a better place to raise your kids in like some huge city that like kind of has weird crime and this and that and like that and that, you know. But at the same time, it's like, fuck, dude, this place is kind of fucked. You know what I mean? It's weird. It's weird.
I'd describe it as like the it'd be like what the bad side of progress. Like you have the Berkeley Pit, which is a big symbol of it, and then we didn't have any trees on the hillside, and it was all just toxic gas basically for a while there.
Yep.
So it's basically just what the bad side of progress looks like.
Yeah, which like without Butte, this place, the United States wouldn't have gotten to the point that it got to. You know,
the cost of progress. That's
yeah,
what it was.
Yeah. And, like, we're going through that cost of progress of, like, a town that's just kind of been, like, left to die. You know, kind of forgotten about by what it once provided. It's weird, man. It's weird. We live in, like, some weird, twisted, fucked up metaphor. It's kind of sick, though. I like it. It's better than living in some place named, like, Springfield, Ohio or some stupid shit like that.
But it's definitely like the people here want you to stay here. And
it's weird,
it's really
right?
weird.
Like when you like, I'm leaving,
Dude,
it's like,
even then, look, everyone's always like, yeah, but you'll be back. It's like, no, I don't think I will actually.
Well, I get that too because you see so many people. They're like, I'm out this bitch, and then they come back like 20 years later.
Well,
like,
yeah,
I'm back in this bitch. It's wild to see.
When I leave, I'll definitely come back for visits and maybe like spend a month or two here every now and then, but I'm never living here.
Do you plan on permanently moving?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can never find a job in biomedical.
Yeah,
sure.
literally.
I'm sure. Dude.
There are currently 40 jobs in the entirety of Montana, and they're not in Butte, Montana.
Yeah, I'm sure they're in like Missoula, Bozeman, Helena, Billings, Great Falls.
And then none of them are in what I'd want to do. So.
Exactly.
But yeah, like it goes back.
I'm gonna come visit you down in Wisconsin.
Okay, but yeah, it goes back to the Montana Tech thing where like they want you to go there, but it's really bad for you. You shouldn't go there unless you're.
It's not good for you. It's good for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very specific type of school, and you shouldn't go there unless you're like that type of person.
Yeah.
Doing that specific type of thing.
Like I know a couple of people like that Austin dude who we worked with during the summer at Summit. You know, he was going for like something like civil engineering, something that has to do with like construction. It's like perfect, dude. You got to fucking figure it out. You know what I mean? But anything other than that, like nurses or some shit like that, it's kind of like it definitely do more harm to you than good.
It's the school where you go if you're not like exactly that proficient, but you still want to like go somewhere.
Yeah,
like
you want to go to college.
Yeah,
and live the college experience.
Because it's definitely like a low cost if you're living here and all that, but
especially if you're living with your parents and shit. You know, barely cost you anything. Those dorm prices are what's fucked up.
Well, and a lot of colleges nowadays require you to live in the dorms for like 2 years.
Literally all of them require
anywhere.
you to. Even if you're going to college over in like Dillon, they'll make you live in the dorms your first year.
Well, and that's the thing. It's usually if like unless you live with your parents somewhere. Like say I was going to college at Tech, I would be able to live with my parents because they live in Butte and like we've lived here our whole lives and shit.
Yeah.
But if you move here from say Missoula to go to Tech, they'll make you stay in the dorms there. You can't even rent until, well, I mean you could, but I mean fucking I don't think they'd let you into the call. It's some weird shit like that where you have to live in the dorms for a year or 2 years or something before they let you like actually go rent something.
You're going to be so mad, Clint.
First pee. I told him to go pee before the podcast.
I didn't have to.
Yeah, 3 beers will make you go pee.
Yeah.
Do we just keep talking?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what I've found in like researching a lot of colleges and just my own experiences, there's a lot of predatory college like tactics that they use.
Oh, I would bet.
The most common one is offering you like a $30,000 scholarship, and then their tuition is like $60,000.
So, oh, okay.
They
so
are
either way, you're paying $30,000.
They artificially inflate the tuition cost, and then they give you a scholarship. It's predatory as hell.
Yeah, they inflate it, and then they're like, "Oh, we'll give you a discount on it."
And then
It's
they're like,
"No, it's not a discount. You're just charging me double and then giving me half off." What?
yeah, it's like, and then they'll be like, there's 100% 100% of people get financial aid here. That should never be your
No,
school.
that's not. That shouldn't be a thing.
Like that means that's what you're doing. You're being predatory.
Yeah,
in your
you're trying to get as much money as you possibly can.
But like a good like percentage, I'd say would be like 50%, because that's what people are like proficient enough to get the scholarships and that.
Oh yeah. So I know you talked about it a little before, but you said Madison, Wisconsin was the college you're thinking about going to right now?
Yeah.
And how did you exactly choose that, other than it just being a better school than most?
It wasn't much more than that, to be honest with you.
Really?
So at first it was recommended to me by the same guy who told me I shouldn't go to Tech.
Okay.
And then basically the divide between like the top like 30 and the top 40 is like you need like a 40 or like a 34 ACT for like past 30, and I have like a 30 ACT, which I'll retake obviously, but and then like the top 40 you can have that 30 and still get into one of the colleges. And what I looked at was Madison, Wisconsin was probably the best one in that little group, but there is another one that's more based in like engineering, which I might be looking at. It's in Illinois.
Oh, really? So either Wisconsin or Illinois, which I mean, I haven't heard much about Wisconsin, but Illinois is pretty cool from what I've heard, other than Chicago. But
and if I do retake my ACT, I could probably get a pretty high ACT. And
you said you got a 30 on your ACT, right?
Yeah.
And that's pretty fucking good.
And
35 is a perfect score.
Yeah.
36. And there's a thing called super scoring, where like they take your best results from both tests and just combine them.
They average them. Okay.
Some top schools do it, some don't. Wisconsin doesn't, but that's okay. I don't need it. But like, say I have a really low English and reading, and I have a really high science and math. So if I just like boost up the English and reading, then I'd have like a 34.
Oh, okay. I get you.
And then maybe I could be looking at those top 30 schools. Like I know GIT, Georgia Tech, is like really high in that.
Ooh.
And they take that like super score.
So that's in Atlanta, isn't it?
Yep.
That'd be a cool place too.
Fuck
So
yeah.
there's a possibility of all that. There's obviously a lot of.
So your plan as of right now is to retake the ACT, see if you can get a better score, and then see if a college will super score it or not, depending on that, and then just kind of go from there. Pick what college you want to go to. And
Maybe
that's probably the hardest choice you'll make for a long time is what college you're going to move to.
And
so
because that'll predict where you live, who you're talking to, who you're interacting with, all that.
Definitely good that you're taking your time to make that decision.
For sure. You don't want to rush into a choice like that.
And obviously it depends on what accepts me and what doesn't.
Exactly.
I don't think I'd ever go to like an actual Ivy League, even if I do get up there.
What's the difference between Ivy League and regular?
So Ivy League is mostly just about tradition. It's mostly just the tradition of prestige. It doesn't, and a lot of like higher up, like professors, like they have some of the best professors, I'd imagine.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's mostly just prestige and tradition. That's
Yeah.
why like a lot of the higher schools aren't Ivy League, even though they're like at that level. There's only around
Going to Ivy League's probably good for like people who want to like join like law firms that are like extremely prestigious or something like that. Huh?
Or even then, if like their parents went there and ended up super wealthy, like they're kind of not forced to go there, but they're
But
like
expected
to go
Yeah.
there because it's an Ivy League. Their parents went there. It's tradition, like you said, it's a traditional type of school where either the same sort of stuff is happening every year, and it's like either the same system, you have the same types of old professors who are preaching the same weird crap, but they're very good professors, to your point, because they're probably getting paid a lot more than.
and they're probably a bit more difficult. Than
Yeah, exactly. They're probably a little more difficult on the students and stuff. So,
But I don't really see like that prestige or anything. Thank you. As like something I need really.
yeah,
You don't need like a lot of people spend and like try and get a lot more than they really need,
mm-hmm.
which is just the byproducts of
Yeah.
consumerism and all that.
And I mean,
but
especially nowadays, you don't need to have a Harvard University degree to get into certain places. Just they need to know that you were good at college. You did as best as you could and stuff like that. A lot of places hire you for who you are nowadays. At least they don't hire you based on what degrees. I mean, obviously they help, and
Yeah.
a lot of places like the degree you're going for, you'll need that degree to get the
Yeah,
job you want.
and the internships
especially
and
within the medical field.
Exactly.
experience and all
Mhm.
that.
But that's what I'm saying. A lot of jobs will hire you just because they know you want experience, and they're like, we could give you experience.
Yeah. But I don't know. I don't like Ivy Leagues. I don't like see prestige as like crazy. I'm more of like a minimalist, especially
Yeah.
nowadays. I'm not fully into it. It's definitely difficult to be a full-on minimalist.
Oh yeah.
But like, what I'll probably do is just get like a smaller house and just try and live like my life out is just trying to face like my projects and
Yeah,
like make
yeah.
an actual impact.
Try and make a change in the world. Like,
Yeah.
I assume, since what you told us earlier in the podcast, what you want to do is at some point in your life make some sort of super cool cybernetic prosthetic for people, or some way that you can do that.
How much does AI play a part in stuff like that
Probably a lot.
going forward?
A lot. It will definitely be a lot. But I think a big part of it is like amputees aren't looked at enough. There's around 1.5 million in the US.
Mhm.
Damn, I did not know that.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. And
1 out of 300 people, basically.
yeah. And to get I could be completely wrong on this, but from what I remember, I did this like research probably a year ago, is that to get like a fully functional, just completely like almost identical functioning arm or leg, I think it was arm, would be like 60,000.
Jesus
Jesus.
Christ, that's a lot of.
That-
that's like a
that's too
down
much-
payment on a fucking $1 million home.
That's a lot of money for people who probably don't have the money to pay for that shit.
Obviously,
Well, you're
like,
amputee. You can't
Yeah.
fucking work as much.
You can't
either,
work.
you know?
obviously, like insurance will probably cover it, but
Mhm.
insurance companies
Depending on the company. Yeah.
and like obviously you can get as little as like a peg leg, but it's just it definitely isn't the equal.
Preferable.
Yeah.
And like to get like a similar thing with like not as much would be probably I think it was 20,000, but it
That's
could have
still a
been
lot.
I could
Jesus.
be inflating those numbers a little
But
bit. It
even
could've been,
then,
It's still damn new.
yeah,
A
it's still a
brand new
lot.
whip.
like 20,000 could have been the highest one, but I'm not too sure. But if
But
it
either
is,
way-
that's still
yeah. So what you're saying basically is you want to just make it more known that these people need to be looked at more and treated with a little more respect.
And
Yeah.
provided a little bit cheaper, but still
Yeah.
like not lacking in quality
Literally,
as
like
much.
you should be able to
solutions.
get, because like you just said, like these people for the most part can't even work because
Yeah.
they can't. They don't have the ability to. So how are they going to get
Especially if they have
$60,000?
shitty prosthetics.
and
Exactly.
Some people aren't even like injured for that; they're born like that.
Exactly.
which
I
is-
know we both know a girl who
was born without legs.
Was born without legs
over in India.
Yeah,
which is definitely
shout out.
Like that's kind of just for. I just kind of want to make it like more of like to get that out there to make it a little bit more fair.
Make it
chance.
accessible to everybody who needs it. Yeah,
like have a fair chance in life. At least.
That's admirable. I like that.
So like it with like all it's kind of comes from like obviously a background in like philosophy and all that, but I won't get into that. But it definitely is like if you're chasing that, you should never be chasing prestige or fame or anything like that.
What you're chasing is you want to make a difference.
Yeah.
You want to help people, and that's probably the best thing you could chase in life. It's not money, fame, power, or
but
anything
making
like
a
that,
difference
but
in other
making a
people's lives.
difference. Yeah,
because like I've done multiple college career fairs, and one thing they'll make you do is like see how much you need, like how much money you need just to sustain for like a year. And from what I can tell, I'd need around 40,000
a year.
Yep.
Damn.
And I'd be making like over 100K. So
that money could be put towards your own like little side projects, stuff like that.
You could open up like your own independent project and try to get that patent, and do all this different type of stuff to just try and help people. When that's how you change the world. Lots of people are doing. I mean, not exactly that, but stuff like that. Just trying to change it up, help people out.
And it does kind of start here with like a lot of that passion and projects and stuff. And I'm obviously working on a few things, just in and out of school, doing all this, just to get started on all that.
As long as you keep that passion, like I don't think anything will stop you from doing what you want to do. I believe you'll be able to change people's lives if you just keep that passion for it.
Yeah, and I'll wrap it back to a different point. Like, passion is very important in what you're doing.
Oh,
so if you're just sitting in school going through these classes that aren't working for you, you're never going to have anything. You have to have passion to do anything.
I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but me and Michael don't exactly plan on revolving our careers around something we learned in high school. We're passionate about this, like what we're doing right now with this. And like, I don't care how many dead end jobs I have to work till this works out, but I'm passionate about this. So I'm going to do this until it succeeds or until it hits our version of success.
Yeah. And that's really good.
Yeah. And like, not to be all selfish, but like, I feel like we can change some people's lives with not everything we do.
Yeah.
A lot of what we do is just going to be goofing off and whatnot.
For sure.
But a lot of people could use that. A lot of people
to a certain degree. To a certain degree, I think like it's very important in today's world to like, I don't know, not take yourself like so seriously.
No.
You know, and I think that's like a big part of what we're trying to do is like kind of like have like the perspective of ourselves that'll like allow us to kind of like fuck off, have fun, do this, do that, to bring entertainment to like other people's lives.
Exactly.
I mean?
That's all I want to do is distract people, basically. Help people escape for a little bit, an hour.
Because this shit gets stressful. I mean, you know that too, dude. You know, you're doing some real ass shit. You know, like I'm like so unbelievably proud of what you're doing, dude. But you probably get stressed out doing it sometimes.
Sometimes. But
you know,
there's a good quote from like Mother Teresa that describe like at least this is. You don't need to make a big difference. You need to make like a small difference every day.
Yeah, and eventually if you add all those up, it is a big difference.
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that was the quote. It could have just been, you just need to make a small difference.
Yeah.
Which is,
But even if you just added to that quote, you made it better. Like,
exactly.
You don't need to make a big difference. You just need to make a bunch of small differences every day.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
And that was just on the world. It could have been impact. I don't have a great memory.
Yeah.
Who knows?
That's okay, dude. I have the worst memory
but
of like all time.
You can apply that stuff to anything you want in life. You know, like just apply passion, apply the will of wanting to help, and like you just said, just apply all of that.
Is there any other career options that you
No.
had in mind?
No.
How long has it been Biomed?
It's probably been around 4 years.
4 years. Kind of like when you start thinking about like, okay, what do I want to do with my life? What drew you to that conclusion?
Obviously just like,
Because I know you said philosophy had to do with it, and I know you said you didn't want to get into that right now, but fuck it, let's get into it.
I don't think it was philosophy as much for the career path. I think it was like just that kind of. Oh no, it was actually one big event that kind of helped with that a lot. So one night I was laying in bed and my arm just went completely numb,
Mm-hmm.
and obviously I thought of the worst.
Mm-hmm.
So that like terrified me, and I'm like, what if I lose my arm? I can't pursue what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that kind of pushed me towards like the amputee stuff and all that. What it was I have cubital tunnel syndrome. It's like a way less version of
Carpal tunnel, yeah.
and it's a different nerve. So the nerve is like right here along your arm.
Okay.
So like that is just a weak part. And what's that really caused from? It's kind of a pinched nerve there from like leaning on it and all of this. So that's what that was. But that was like one of the biggest events that like pushed me towards it. And
what was your thought process at the time, like when you were like having like that like numbness of the arm, like when you came to like amputees and stuff like that?
It was obviously just a lot of worry. Like I can't lose an arm. That'd be fuck. Like even just like a lot of the mobility in my arm or functionality, that'd be terrible for what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's probably
That makes sense.
just saying, and obviously the inspiration from like the character and all that.
Yeah.
And then you just kind of been building on that ever since.
Yeah.
Kind of towards that same goal.
But yeah. I'll actually go back to the question you asked me because I just remembered it. The question you asked me at the start was, what was the most interesting thing you learned? And recently. And it was actually like a few days ago. What the most interesting thing I've learned recently is that my bad memory pushed me to journaling.
Interesting.
That's
Journaling has become like a very positive thing for you in terms of like overviewing like the events of your life and like how they affect you and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. So like how my bad memory did that is I know that I'm not going to remember a lot of things, so I'll start writing it down and doing that. So it's become like a lot more positive than it probably should have been.
Yeah.
So that's probably the most interesting thing I've learned, and it was just like that simple. But I never seen that before.
Interesting.
Do you journal every day about just like, do you just carry your journal with you, and if you learn something that you think you might forget, you'll write it down?
It's on my phone, so yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That's an easy journal.
Oh,
I
for
like
sure.
that. I like that.
How long have you been doing it?
It started probably around 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
So a few years now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
That's pretty good, dude. What
That's
has been
definite-
the biggest upside of it for you? Like, have you like it? I'm sure like the obvious stuff, like it makes it easier to keep track of your emotions, how certain things make you feel in the moment, stuff like that. But like other than that, like what's been the biggest upside of it for you?
It's really easy to like solve certain problems because I write down like how I'm looking at it in the moment, and then I can go back to that and like get all the finer details and like kind of make a conclusion based on earlier what I was feeling.
Yeah.
And just solve the problems from there.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's solid though, dude. Like I've always kind of like wanted to get into journaling a little bit just because like you said, it makes it easier to like kind of like solve like the problems that like life on an everyday basis just kind of throws at you. But
and I never wanted to get into journaling, but
yeah, you never looked at this as like a goal.
Yeah, but I was like pushed into it. I was forced to almost because if I'm not gonna remember it, I need some way to have it
Look back on it,
Yeah.
reflect.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
but I do realize you have one of my projects right behind you.
We do. Stop hitting that thing.
Vote for
Jesus.
Jordan McMurray for parliamentarian. Parliamentarian. I'm retarded.
Michael learned English in like 2 weeks.
But that's
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, that's one of the projects I'm doing. It was mostly just for like a resume thing, but it was a few campaigns I did and all that.
Yeah.
And
How'd that go?
That went well.
What's it like campaigning for like high school kind of?
Yeah, I've never done anything like that where
Yeah.
I try to run for.
Were you up
something.
against like some
Or-
like preppy girl or some shit?
I don't know her personally. I was up against some girl, but it was, so I did a campaign, spent probably $70 on just like candy and like put it in classrooms, went around, talked about it, tried to get people to
Yeah.
vote. and then it was a tie.
So
But
gay.
Damn.
The other person wasn't
It's
even
rigged.
running, and yeah. And so I did it again. I put more into candy. I put more into the outfit, speech, all of that.
Your political budget.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then what happened was I won by 1 vote.
Damn.
So all like you spent more and more money and you got one more vote.
Still, you still won.
And she didn't even vote.
so if she had voted, it would have been tied again.
It would have been tied again. So like that kind of goes to show like how hard it is to like get onto the scene and stuff and like make back for lost time, because I know she's involved in like a lot of things and I'm definitely not. So like just that inherent popularity is very hard to compete
Oh,
with.
for
Oh
sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You know, like when
I
you're,
mean, I definitely even saw that, like, just like from a viewer's perspective, watching like the more popular kids kind of always win that for reasons they shouldn't have been.
when I was in
winning it.
middle school, when I was in 8th grade, I remember there was like this like class president running thing. There was this one kid against like these like 4 like preppy ass fucking girls. Like they had money, they had like the fucking sports, they did this, they did that, right? And then there was this other kid who nobody knew. Nobody ever fucking knew before this and that. And he came on and he was like, yo, I know I'm not the most popular person running for this shit, but I feel like I do the best. And this like kind of like gave like a speech on like why like popularity isn't always the most important thing when it comes to like who's representing you. And he won, dude, by like a landslide, like hard, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just remember that vividly as like one of my middle school moments.
So that's cool because
you know.
he called out all the people that
Exactly.
would have just voted for the popular kids.
Exactly, and he
was
kind of like
"Hey,"
got them thinking a little
yeah,
bit,
it was like,
you know?
hey, don't do that. Vote for the person who actually deserves
Exactly,
it. Yeah, that's
exactly.
cool.
But yeah, so it kind of taught me a few lessons. Like, if I want to do this, I'm going to have to try a lot harder than I
Mhm.
normally would. And that's okay. I'm willing to do
Yeah,
that.
that's good that you are willing to do that, because a lot of people see that pressure and they're just like, I'm not gonna do that all that extra work when that person just might win it anyway.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was obviously those thoughts. Like, when it tied the first time, I was actually at Walmart in my car, and my friend sent me a message. He's like, it tied. And I'm like, you've got to be
You gotta be kidding me.
You've got to be kidding. And I was so upset.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I can imagine.
this isn't right. But I'm like, well, I can't just sit here and take
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You got to do something about it. And he did.
yeah. You won by a point.
So,
A point is a point,
Fuck that bitch.
as far as I'm concerned. Yeah, dude.
it's definitely like what I've been recently going by is like, don't make excuses until you've tried everything.
Yeah. That's a good motto to go
That's
by.
a good motto.
So like, I'm willing to, for my projects right now, I'm willing to spend however much money and do
Time.
whatever I need to do time wise to make it succeed. One of my projects recently that I struggled with a lot.
One of your projects that you've struggled with a lot.
So it was a poster. It was like a project based on posters and getting people to join something. And I won't name any names or anything, but yeah. So it was like that. And what it was about was really like just putting up posters with like a QR code and getting people.
You've
to
talked to
join
me about this, yeah.
Yes. I won't go into any more depth about that, but I had so many problems with this project.
What was the biggest problem?
There's been a few. The posters have obviously been the biggest project.
Designing them, doing this, doing that.
No. So the design was really simple. I made it that way on purpose. So the first time around, I used Scotch tape and I hung them up, and then a lot of them fell down. So I had to re-hang up a bunch of posters. And then the second time around, it was going well. And then 14 days into the project, I get an email, hey, your QR code isn't working anymore unless you pay a huge sum of money.
Jesus
Christ.
And I'm like, you are kidding me.
Yeah.
So I take them all down and I put up new ones. And this time I'm using double-sided tape and a lot of it to like try and make sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And every single one of them fell down.
Jesus.
of course.
So what I'm going to do now, I'm not gonna, obviously, like, there's been moments where I'm like, this is not worth it. But then I'm like, no, I'll just keep going. But it's been really like good to see, like, even without the posters been up probably half of the time, and we've still been gaining like equal members. Or
Oh,
not
really?
equal members, but like a good amount of members even
Good,
without them.
good. And your posters haven't been up nearly as long as the other kids' posters and stuff.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So it's been definitely difficult to like navigate this, and it's been like I've spent so much money.
Yeah, that's
So-
kind of ridiculous that you have to spend money for a
Yeah,
QR
dude.
code.
Literally.
No, I didn't spend money on the QR
You
Well,
code.
just go
yeah,
through a
yeah.
different site, right?
You just went
Yep,
through somewhere
yep.
else, I assume. But it's
Yeah.
crazy that they hit you up after 2 weeks and they're like, "Hey, QR code
There's this
about to
website called
expire."
Linktree where like you could do all that for free, easy.
I just did it through Canva, but
Yeah.
yeah, it was definitely rough beginnings, to say the least.
I feel like with like a lot of like big projects that like have to do with like more than just like what you do and like how you think, you know what I mean? Like with me and Clint starting this podcast, you know, it's like you figure out, okay, like we get everything we need, and then you start doing it. It's like, oh fuck, we need this one more
Yeah,
thing. And you get that one more thing, and then you get that one more thing. It's like, oh fuck, we need this other thing to make this thing to work, and then this and
Yeah, it's just problem after problem.
that's
after
how big
problem.
projects are, and I feel like that's kind of like in like some like weird sort of like philosophical way, like kind of like
That's the
life's
test.
way of telling you like, okay, how committed are
Yeah,
you
yeah.
to this? You know, like how much do you want to work to make this work?
How
Yeah.
much bullshit are you willing to put up with to make
Yeah.
this work?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And there was so much more like just putting them up, and
Yeah.
people the teachers just staring you down
Yup,
and then giving you
mhm.
weird looks. And I'm at a point where I'm comfortable enough to do that.
Yeah.
Like if I was trying to do this like a year ago, I would have folded already. But
Yeah.
But like you're ready
It's-
for it now.
It's
You
good
know?
to know,
Yeah.
yeah, that you just prepared for it, so you just won't quit on it now.
like now I'm willing to give up so much. Like you never realize how much you're willing to give up for something
Until that thing
Until
comes
Mhm.
like
along.
you get it. And I'm willing to give up so much money, time,
Yeah.
even friends for like this.
Good.
task.
That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
That's
sure.
the successful mindset.
That's like the passion part of
It's
it.
kind of
Yeah.
like the test of it all, you know, to test to see like, okay, like how much do you want this? Do you deserve it? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like life will throw all these like little challenges and these barricades at you, and just like all of these little obstacles for you to like jump over and do this and do that with, you know, to like kind of get you to the point where it's like, okay, I really do want this. Like I've done all your little tests. I've done this. I've done that. You know, like give it to me. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
And it's like no one would ever understand why I'm working like super hard. on
Except for
such-
you.
Yeah.
And that's the most important part is you get it.
Yeah.
know?
And
That-
like
That's the only person you need to get it is you. You don't need anyone else's support. I mean, support helps, but
For sure.
if they don't understand what you're doing,
Yeah.
they don't get it.
Exactly.
but it's like it definitely was been like a long way coming to like actually
Yeah.
be like myself and like this independent person who's like okay with
Mhm.
these word stares and all that, because I wouldn't have been nearly as okay with a lot of this.
Yeah.
Yeah, but life kind of like brought you in that direction of like kind of like putting you through certain like experiences without even you knowing it, of like, okay, this will prepare you for this. This will
Mhm.
prepare you
Yeah.
for that.
And it all on that point it like started like probably half a year ago, and like what I did, I was like unknown in this class, blah blah blah. Like I'm just not a big person on people or
Yeah,
anything
you're
like
not a
that.
very talkative guy.
Yeah, so like we have this propaganda project, and I'm like, politics would be great for this. So I'm with my friend of like long time, known him since like elementary, and I'm sitting next to him like, we should do an election. And he's like, okay. So I put so much time and like effort into it. I ran under.
Yeah, the silly goose party.
Yep. And like I put so much more time into it. I probably put 4 times the amount of time he put into it. And I won.
Yeah.
Like by a good amount. But like you could still see like there was a certain type of person who would vote for him because they just knew him.
Yeah.
But like that's like the start of it all, because it was like a lot. It was like the first real project I ever did. It was like the first time getting out there, putting myself out there. And you kind of need that to get an identity. and
Yeah.
all that. because like it was the start of the campaigning and it was the start of like my branding and all that. And
big steps.
And it just kind of set way to like a lot of this, and it's only been half a year, so it's a long time.
And you're already starting to see like the kind of like progress of it all, with like what you're doing with like the Discord and this and that, like I don't know. It's just like what's crazy to me, dude, is like I'm only like 3 years and a couple months older than you. And, like, I don't know, I just remember when we were kids, like, who you were as, like, a kid, like, back in the day when we would sit there and we'd play Call of Duty, Black Ops 2, and go fucking crazy on that shit with, like, the quick scoping and this and that, And just, like, watching you grow to this person who has, like, their own, like, little projects in mind and, like, fucking, like, their own goals, and just, like, watching somebody grow from, like, this type of person to, like, this type of person. And like watching that like natural progression, like what causes that progression, like talking to you about like decisions that you're going to make and like why you're making those decisions. Like it's just crazy, because like you're like my little brother, you know what I mean? Like I've watched you like literally like grow up, and like we're kind of like watching you like take this form of like somebody who like is doing their own thing and like fucking has their own ideas and like wants to do their own thing with their life and then this and then that, it's just crazy, watching you like kind of like come out of your shell a little bit, because like everybody goes through it, but to see somebody else who you've known personally your entire life, like a sibling or like anything like that, kind of like go through this same process that you did, kind of like makes you reflect on like your own in a certain way. Like once you kind of started getting into high school and getting to the point where like you were like, yo, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, talking to me about, like, all these new things that you're doing, all these people you're hanging out with, this and that, it just, like, makes you, like, me reflect on, like, these certain things that, like, I've done in the way that I've chose to live my life opposed to, like, the way that you choose to live yours, and, and, like, watching those differences and watching this all happen. Like, it's truly beautiful, man. Like the process of life itself, and, like, watching you, like, kind of, like, come out of your shell a little bit and be like, oh, like, there's this, like, the little thing I want to do. It's like a project. I want to do this. I want to do that. And like watching you like take that idea and like bring it to life, like it's truly magical. You know?
I think the best thing I've learned is just like you have to be different. You can't be anything like anyone else if you're going to do that.
Exactly. Like watching you become yourself, like who you are as a person, like it's just crazy, because then you reflect on like, oh, how did I become me as a person?
You have to evolve into the person you want to become instead of devolving into the person society wants you to become.
But I guess that's enough on me.
No, dude, you're good.
I think, we've gone for...
How long has it been?
Almost 2 hours, I think.
Has it been almost 2 hours?
An hour and a half, maybe?
Yeah.
Good shit.
But yeah, I kind of wanted this episode to be a little bit more different just because of that reason.
Yeah, good.
I get that.
I enjoyed this episode.
No, this was low key, like in terms of like actual like conversation.
Very interesting conversation.
Very, for sure.
I'm glad you came on. To be honest, when Michael told me he was going to invite you on, I thought you would say no because I mean I don't know you that well, but I'm like you were saying you're a bit antisocial and stuff.
Jordan supports the fam, huh?
But,
yes, he does.
But it's good to know, like you were just saying, that you've come out of your shell a bit and you're a little more comfortable just talking about shit. It's nice. It's good.
And a really big part of like what I'm doing or what I like to do is like whenever someone I know has like a project like this, I always love to support it.
Good.
And I appreciate that greatly, man. Like you've been very supportive of like the entire podcast and like commenting like, okay, like, yo, I think you guys need an intro and an outro and this and that. Like I take all of that shit to heart, man. And like just knowing that like somebody I truly care about, like you know, like is like interested in like the things I care about aside from the people in my life, like the activities that I'm doing and this and that. And like you coming on, like we support it way more than you know, man. Like we appreciate it like, so much more than you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's always just good to support your people. And I have so many other people who are like doing YouTube or whatever, and I'll be there for that.
Exactly.
I've been there. And
that's a good thing, man.
It's always just good to support your people.
You're doing great in life, man. I am so unbelievably proud of you. And Clint knows this. Like, I brag about you.
Oh, yeah.
All the fucking time.
Oh,
like,
yes.
Like, I will make it clear, like, yo, dude, Jordan McMurray is my fucking brother. I am unbelievably proud of that. You have no idea, bro. like my girlfriend, Clint, like everybody knows, like, yo, Jordan's my fucking boy. You know what I mean? Like, I'm so unbelievably proud of you and what you have done and who you have become as a person. And like, I don't know, like you're a shining example of like how to go about this life, you know, and like how to like treat the things that you care about and like how to treat yourself. You know what I mean? Like with like the journaling and like the caring about where you go in life and like making like these plans without going too heavy into it, you know, like you were doing fucking great, you know, and I want you to know that.
For being the age you are, doing all the things you're doing right now is pretty fucking amazing.
And for you to like come on here and kind of like support what I'm doing in a way, you know, like it means the world.
Like what we just said, what we're doing is fucking nothing compared to what you're going to do.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate it.
You know?
Yeah. But yeah, just turned just an adult now. So
yeah, literally. Like,
Jordan's freshly 18.
I've been an adult.
I want to see those fucking happy birthday comments in the goddamn fucking comments. And if you don't, you're a little fucking bitch, and I'll stab you in the goddamn motherfucking face. I swear to fucking God.
That's 10 days, but it's all right.
That's quite
still
a way to end the podcast. But okay. Thanks.
All right,
Thank you, Jordan. We appreciate it
for coming on the pod.
Thank
we
you.
greatly support
Thank you guys for
your
having
episode.
me.
Of course,
yes,
yeah. And we're gonna have
sure.
you on again before you head off to the uni.
Yep,
You know,
yep.
Or even then, like, while he's he can come down Christmas break and shit.
exactly, summer break, stuff like that, right?
Hey, if you guys need someone, I guess you can call me. But
Bet.
I might not
He
answer.
guesses.
Perfecto. Yeah,
that
Jordan,
works for me.
that works. But all right,
of
bet
great
Jordan.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate everybody watching. We appreciate the likes and comments that hopefully some of you will leave. And stay tuned for next episode. We got a special guest coming up. So yeah.
Thanks,
Peace out,
everybody.
guys.